using yoga to gain strength. So often we think of yoga beneficial for restorative purposes or to gain flexibility, but I wanted to go through 5 poses that you can do specifically to gain strength. So obviously you'll still get the benefits of the restorativeness of yoga when you bring your deep breath into it, and you'll still get the benefits of flexibility because we're always stretching certain muscle groups even when we're strengthening. But these are going to be specifically strengthening yoga poses, and we're going to target kind of all of the main muscle groups in the body. So the first one is a warrior 1/high lunge. So depending on who your teacher is or what lineage of yoga you're doing, this might be called something different, but really it's just a lunge. So we're going to step back with one foot, and our stance is dependent on a few alignment principles. So we want the front knee, once we're lunged into it, to stack over the front ankle. And we want to pull that back hip forward. So whatever leg is back, pulling the hip forward to square off the hips. And then we're going to straighten through that back leg to stack the heel over the toe, really engaging through that back leg. So this is our foundation for the legs. Now I want you to grow up out of the hips, so we're not sinking down, collapsing. You can even push down into your hips and grow up out of the hips as if you have a string pulling from the crown of the head, and then arms can float up, shoulders relax. So we're taking this pose that, you might think of more as just strengthening the legs, and now we're engaging our core, and our arms are also being worked a bit as they're held up in the air. So deep breaths here, 5 to 10 deep breaths. And then you could switch, come into that same pose, another 5 to 10 breaths on the other side. All right, so warrior 2. So from this warrior 1, all we have to do is bring that back heel down so that the edge of the back foot is in line with the short edge of the back of the mat. The front heel is just kind of intersecting either through the middle of the foot or with the heel of the back foot. Lunging into that front knee, again, we want the knee to stack over the ankle. I'm going to press into the back edge of my back foot, keeping my ankle, knee, and hip in line. And then from here, again, growing up out of the hips, tilting the tailbone down towards the floor. Arms can float up. Again, shoulders are relaxed, so we're not bringing the shoulders towards the ears. And then gaze can come over those front fingertips. This knee has a tendency to wobble to the inside. We want to keep it coming out so that it's stacked over the ankle. 5 or 10 deep breaths. And then all you can do is pivot the toes and move on to the other side. All right, so those first 2, we're really working there on the thighs, the glutes, even the calves, and then of course the core and the arms as well. All right, number 3 is chair pose. So again, targeting that lower body. So this is a squat position. So we're gonna start with the feet hip distance apart. So that's about a fist and a half. And I'm gonna turn so you can see a little better here. We're going to start by sitting the bum back. So we're bringing the weight mostly into the heels. Sitting back, knees are staying behind the toes, but we're keeping the chest open so we're not hunching forward here. Coming down as low as you can while we keep the knees behind the toes. And then from here, chest can lift and arms can come up with the shoulders down. So having the arms out here, challenging us more, we're kind of changing our center of gravity. Core's got to engage. 5 to 10 deep breaths. And then standing back up. So with all of these, you can do them once, you can hold them longer to make it harder, or you could cycle through them. So do each of them 2 or 3 times. All right, coming down to the mat, we're going to come into a high plank. So obviously high plank isn't yoga specific, but we do use the high plank in a lot of especially flow classes. So good to have the alignment down. So starting from a tabletop, we're going to stack shoulders over wrists. We're not hyperextending through the elbows here. So soft bend in the elbows, spread the fingers wide, index fingers forward. And we're going to come up onto the toes here. So again, we want to straighten the legs so that the heels are stacked over the toes, pushing away from the ground. Now the shoulders, if they have a tendency to come up to the ears, we need to pull them down the back. Cores, again, tailbone's tilting down, so we're not doing this tilt, we're doing the opposite tilt. You might feel a little bit shaky. Shoulders over wrists. And if this is too difficult, you can always come down to the knees. So if you're sacrificing form, we need to come down to the knees, and then when the strength is there, we come up. 5 to 10 breaths, and then you can repeat if you want. Okay, last one is core specific, it's boat pose. So full boat requires not only the strength to do it, but also the flexibility through the back line of the body. So I don't have much of that flexibility, but full boat looks sort of like this. So we've got the legs, it's like a V-sit. So the spine is long, the legs are straight, and we're holding. So I'm gonna show you kind of a way to progress into it, and you can kind of go stage by stage until you get to the full posture one day. So we're gonna start knees bent, feet on the floor. You can even hold on to the fronts of the knees or the legs here, and I want you to pull yourself forward so you exaggerate the chest forward, shoulders down. So this really long spine with the chest open is a position that we want to keep through the whole pose. So starting here, you can grab onto the backs behind the knees now. You can start just by coming up onto the tippy toes, and then maybe raising one leg, then maybe both. Maybe you get those legs a little bit higher, maybe eventually we have the arms out to the side, and then slowly we can start to straighten the legs, so you could even do one at a time. And remember, this isn't just strength, this is flexibility as well. So always keeping that long spine, shoulders back, and then eventually maybe we come into the full pose. Again, we want to have that deep breath. So if you ever find that you can't maintain that deep breath, then we need to ease off because we've come too far. So 5 or 10 deep breaths of that one, and that is the 5 yoga poses that you can use to gain strength. So I hope you enjoyed the video. So thanks for watching. I'll see you all in a future video. Take care.